and welcome to Ain't No Game, a podcast about games that are films and films that are games, and all the murky stuff in the middle. My name is James, and today I'm joined by Danny.
Yes, that's correct.
Yep, there he is. And I know what you're thinking, a podcast about films and games, a criminally underserved genre of discussion. But where I think this differs, and hopefully you will too, is that there are already a lot of amazing podcasts out there that deal with films and comic books, and also ones that deal with games and the retro scene. But what happens when the two
merge,
meet?
synthesis,
like the David Brent melting
pots.
I'm doing the David Brent finger thing and biting my bottom lip.
Confirm that is happening.
I love video games, as you know, Danny. I am a collector.
Yeah.
I enjoy...
But not the collector.
I'm not the collector, no. I am not Benicio del Toro. I will not betray the rebellion or the... What are they called? The renegades. What are they now?
I don't know.
The First Order and the... They're the Resistance, aren't they?
I was thinking of the collector from... is it Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yeah, Benicio del Toro.
Yeah.
Same guy.
I thought you were about Star Wars then.
Well, I am.
Right.
Because he's in Star Wars.
He's in Star Wars as well.
He was in the
last... yes, isn't he?
He was in The Last Jedi.
Bloody hell. I've only just put that together.
He was a locksmith.
Yeah.
And he got the rebels onto the Star Destroyer.
Yeah.
And sold them out.
Yeah, sort of mixed bag, wasn't he? Mixed bag of morals.
A mixed bag of morals. He sold them out, but to what end? But is there a video game about The Last Jedi?
Yes. No.
No. So we can't talk about it.
Talk about it.
Because the reason I want to do this is I love films as well as games, Danny, and you know that.
Yeah.
And often it's discussed and thought and mused upon that never the twain should meet. You know, critically, video game films don't usually rate that well with either just the sort of regular movie-going public or indeed fans of the game. I think, you know, it to sort of regular moviegoers who maybe don't know about games, it's just a film that's just all right.
Or confusing.
Or confusing or worse. And to a fan of the game, it usually sort of stamps on and undoes a lot of the stuff that makes the game so good.
Yeah, it's like a parent, isn't it? Trying to be like with the Resident Evil films. Oh, is that you playing your zombie game? Oh, we'll get what was the actress called again?
It's Mila Jovovich.
You get me,
isn't it? Yeah.
We'll make one of them with Mila Jovovich.
Yeah. So the first Resident Evil film, for example, is a bit of an odd hybrid because you've got it's like they looked at the game and read maybe the back of the box and thought, right, so we've got a mansion, we've got zombies, and underneath the mansion is a lair where they're doing lab where they're doing experiments and trying to rewrite the genetic code of human beings, but they mess it up, don't they?
Yeah.
And create zombies, or the T virus, isn't it? The T virus or the G? Yeah, T virus.
The first one, yeah.
And those elements are there, but as we know, as we gamers know, Alice is not a character.
Wasn't he going? She's gone out with the director, wasn't she? I think.
Yeah, she's married.
Oh, she's married
to Paul W.S. Anderson. But yeah, and I think that's maybe where those films fall down. Certainly for me, as a fan of the game series, is that some of the characters aren't there. The story of who's behind it all.
Well, I'm sure I read that George Romero wrote a script for it as well. That was rejected, and when it's obviously it's based on Night of the Living Dead as well. When you think it's the first one of those films set in a house, the second one is you're running through the city streets and the shopping centres and things, which kind of mirrors Resident Evil 2. It's like, well, if it's based on his films and he's written you a script and it sticks to the source material, just make that.
Yeah.
I don't.
And everyone's
put your
happy.
wife in it. I don't mind. Put your wife in it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying don't put your wife in it.
Yeah.
If I had a wife, I might. Obviously, I'm not making a Resident Evil film, but if I was making a Resident Evil film and had a wife
who was an actress.
Yeah. Well, even if she wasn't, damned can I be in that? Go for it.
Yes.
If she wasn't an actress, I might not put her in the main role. I might just give her like
she's
a smaller
not. She's
part.
not Jill.
No, I'd give her like
Ada.
Maybe not even Ada. Maybe just like she's just in it for a bit at the start and gets killed. But then she might be like, well, why? Hang on, why am I not Jill? But well, you're not an actress.
And there you go. That's your Resident Evil film.
That's Resident Evil film. If she'd take acting lessons, then I'll consider it. But you can't not be an actress and expect to be Jill.
Yeah, you can't not be an actress and expect to be in Resident Evil.
Yeah, but then if I'm making it and it's quite stressful and she's avoiding me, she's not speaking to me, I'm like, what's up? Well, I'm not being Jill, no. Well, have you been to those acting classes? No. Well, then why are you complaining to me that you're not Jill?
Yeah. Have you played the games?
No.
No, don't play stupid computer games.
Right, well, yeah.
Well, yeah.
You don't know who Jill is. Have you read the scripts? You've done nothing.
Jill's not in the script because we've taken the basics of the game and written around it.
She's in the second film.
Yeah, I think the second one onwards it starts
on Nemesis sort of
introducing more characters from the sort of game universe.
Yeah.
And because isn't Nemesis in the second one?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I enjoyed that at the time, but I didn't know any better.
Yeah, because it's the whole. It's got familiar bits in it, but a bit wrong.
Yeah.
And another thing I probably should stress about the podcast before we go on is that me, I won't talk for you, Dan, but sure. I mean I'm certainly no authority in either film.
Oh God, no.
Or games that we will be discussing. It'll purely be opinion with sort of a minimum amount of research, I guess. It's all going to be based on my own personal feelings and experiences with whatever the film or game is. And even though we work within the film and television industry, and I certainly studied at university as well, and love all these things, I'm not for a second going to start quoting Wikipedia pages as if I was there when all those ET games were buried. Because if you want, if people want to find out about that stuff, there's a wealth of information out there, and a lot of people making documentaries and making videos and clips about these subjects. This is purely going to be games, films, and should they meld? Should they? But yeah, so that's the crux of what I want this podcast to be about. I do want it to focus on video games that have been adapted into films, but also when it goes the other way and a popular film or film franchise is then turned into a game, whether that be an old property that's been sort of reimagined for current gen, or sort of going back at the time, films like Batman, having video games and toys as very much as part of their merchandising and getting the brand out there in as many places and in as many sort of people's consciousness as possible. So I think it opens it up to a lot of potential subjects, loads to talk about. And nice to
have a structure in it.
Yeah, well, it feels like very much at the moment, with this being sort of the first time we've done this, there isn't one. But that is what it is going to be all about.
It's nice to aspire to a structure.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm grasping at, but it's just out of reach.
Yeah. So it's like showing you working out in it. It's like, well, maybe we've got the sum wrong, but you can see what we were trying to do.
Yeah. So we wouldn't get any points on countdown, but it would all be written up on the board for everyone to look at. And
if this was GCSE maths, they might have gone, well, they've had a go.
Yeah,
let's give them
because you only get some points for the answer.
Yeah.
You get points for the working.
Which, as a child, I thought that's crackers. You've either got it right or you haven't. But as an adult, I think...
Yeah, it's good to show the method.
Okay.
Like baking.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah, you need the method before you can have your cake.
Yeah.
And
we have got a cake.
We do have a cake later. So that's what we're hoping. Every episode will look at a game or film franchise and see which way it tips. But I think it'll be quite nicely balanced. Yeah. So before we get to our first ever topic, which is a pretty big film franchise, thought we'd talk about what we've been watching, what we've been playing.
Sure.
Because we haven't seen each other in
hours.
In hours in a little while. So Dan and I are friends and work colleagues. So we often talk about films and games while we're sort of at the grindstone, as it were. Dan, what have you been playing recently?
So this week I've been playing Sonic Mania Plus, which is like the original Sonic Mania, but they've put a squirrel in it. So I've paid an extra £25 for a physical copy of that. And he's great, he's called Ray, and
it's a good, solid name in that universe full of very creative and memorable names.
Yeah.
They introduce a squirrel that I've never heard of.
No,
called Raymond.
That's the thing, he's older than Knuckles, actually, weirdly. So
it's weird. He looks good for his age. He looks a lot younger than Knuckles. But Knuckles is very cross.
Yeah, he takes
a lot of frowning.
Seriously. He's got a lot of responsibility on his shoulders, to be honest. Knuckles is the last of his kind. He's guarding a big green emerald.
Do you think he's carrying around a lot of guilt as well? Because he was bad, but he was tricked, wasn't he?
Well, his intentions were always good. But yeah, he was misled by Dr. Robotnik into thinking that Sonic was there to invade his island. But, what I said at the time was, if you look around and you consider that half of the robots looked like Robotnik, I think the writing was on the wall as to who was behind all that.
I think he was seeing what he wanted to see. And even though now he's seen the error of his ways, I think if I was Sonic and we were having a chat post Sonic 3 or 4 or whatever, and he's seen the error of his ways, I would be like, no, come on. Me and a fox? Me and a fox arrived on a biplane.
Yeah.
This guy crash landed here and turned all your friends into
and a big
robots.
metal egg with his face on it.
And you're telling me you thought I was the villain?
I think he's not particularly bright, and I think he carries a lot of shame about that, and I think that's what makes him so angry.
He's more brute, isn't he? Brute force.
He's not as edgy as Shadow, though. I mean, Shadow's more of a modern character. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
I know of.
Yeah.
This is the whole joke of me being a game sort of lover and collector, is that sort of beyond the core Sonic games of 1, 2 and 3 on the Mega Drive and Sonic CD, which I vibe between Sonic 2 and CD as my personal favourite. I don't really go beyond that. I haven't played the...
Well, those are the best games.
3, yeah. I mean, the ones I grew up with. So,
which will annoy people. Like, if anyone listens to it, great. But if someone listens to it, the Sonic fan community is divided between the modern and the classic fans. I won't go on about this too long because it's going to be alienate 98% of people. But yeah, there's a divide there, and it's fierce. It's a civil war.
Where do people sit with Sonic Adventure? Because
modern.
I mean, for me, I was working in a electronics retail shop when Sonic Adventure came out, and a shop I worked in had like the Dreamcast and the PlayStation on display, playing like demos 24/7.
I remember.
And I remember being because I didn't have a Dreamcast when they were sort of in their prime. I remember just seeing that intro for Sonic Adventure like over and over again with the big flood and the big creature with the eye opening and like Robotnik on this like giant like blimp or something.
Yeah.
And I remember that like sort of blowing me
it looks incredible
away at the time.
Sonic Adventure's good. It is a good game.
I mean, I've downloaded it for the PlayStation 3, I think, but not really gone much into it. That is the one with the like a killer whale. There's a killer whale bit.
There is,
and you're running towards the camera.
So I loved it. So I got it when Dreamcast when it came out, and I got for that game, and I loved it. But at the time, it there's all these humans in it, and my understanding of Sonic, based on the UK comics mainly and a little bit of the games, was that, and the cartoons as well, that it was set on this world called Mobius, inhabited by animals, and that it was almost like, looking back now, there's a few allegories to communism in it, but anyway, the fact in the one...
Well, isn't like the word Robotnik, like it means...
I don't know, it might do.
So it is a word for like robots, but robot not being as in mechanical, as in being sort of a slave to a regime.
I don't know. Well, there you are.
I mean, I don't know the full definition, but Sonic Mania.
Yeah. So roughly, essentially that's been my game of the week. Got that squirrel in there.
You got Ray. You're happy.
It's all right. Yeah, I'm just happy to see him.
Yeah, I like Sonic Mania. I bought it when, well, you know, we were quite hyped for it when it originally came out. I downloaded it on the PS4. It's good. I've still not completed it. I am
it's not good enough.
Stuck towards the end on a level with some cracking music. I can't remember the name of it, but it's got a great soundtrack.
Yeah,
I do enjoy playing it, but I guess being sort of the wrong side of my 30s, I'm just not as quick as I used to be on the old games. Although I'm sure I could put Sonic 2 in now and blast through it without the cheats.
I suppose actually it is a relevant one to bring up as well, because there is a Sonic the Hedgehog film being made
well,
which will be terrible.
Funnily enough, yes, that is happening with...
and there is a film that already exists as well, actually. There's an anime film.
There is an animated film, isn't there? Yeah, of course it counts. It's a video game that's been turned into a cartoon. And I think, you know, even when I was growing up and before we had access to the internet and all this information and everything you got was from magazines, a lot of the art that would be used to sort of promote these games that came from Japan always sort of looked like it was from a film. It was done in that way that you, at the time, you questioned it because...
Do you mean that sort of anime look?
Yeah, so Rocket Knight Adventure is one for me.
Yeah.
I remember seeing when that was first being showcased in like Mean Machines or whatever, there were pictures in there that looked like they were from a cartoon,
right?
Of Sparkster like flying away from like a dragon. And
does he predate Sonic?
No, it's after. It's after.
Do you think that
Sonic
was inspired by the Sonic? Because I know Sonic, they were looking to Disney a lot for the design. You can see that. You can see that.
With the eyes and the smile. And isn't the attitude Michael Jackson or something?
Bill Clinton's can-do attitude.
Bill Clinton's saxophone playing attitude.
But Michael Jackson for the shoes.
Shoes.
A little bit as well.
That makes sense. They are good shoes.
That is mental.
I'm not sure if they're running shoes, but they are nice shoes.
Well, in the story, they're meant to be some sort of special shoes that don't burst into flame or something when he breaks the sound barrier, something like that. Or sneakers, as they will be.
Doesn't do a lot of sneaking, does he?
I like sneakers as a phrase. I think a lot of American words are...
It's a film called Sneakers.
Is it?
Yeah, Robert Redford, Dan Aykroyd.
Is it a computer game, though?
It's not based on a computer game, so there we are.
I have to edit that out. That's gone.
That's gone. But yeah, so Sonic Mania, thumbs up.
Oh yeah.
Do you recommend the physical copy if you've already got the digital download?
Well, no, because you can get the upgrade to include everything in the physical copy for like £4 or something as a DLC. The reason I bought the physical copy, there's two reasons. One is I only have it on PC and I want to play it on my PS4. And the second is you've got a reversible cover, so you can have Genesis or Mega Drive.
See, and this is kind of where it might hook me in if it goes down in price. Because while I don't want to spend 25 notes on it,
it is silly that I've done that.
But it will look good on my shelf. That's the thing, having a whole room like a
you get the art
library.
You get an art book as well.
Yeah, that's the thing. You know, I did for a while like to pick up my collector's editions. I think the last one I got was Wolfenstein 2, the
Nice.
new Colossus, which came with an action figure.
Cool.
But it's a silly size box. It does not fit on any shelf in
Any
in the
shelf
room. It doesn't fit on any
in
shelf
the world?
that's ever been made.
That seems crazy.
I know.
Because I would imagine there are some, like even in some novelty art exhibition, there would be some giant shelf.
No art gallery can house it.
How big is it?
It's
On any shelf.
any shelf in my room. It doesn't fit, so it's kind of been relegated at the moment.
To where?
To not on the shelves.
Fair enough. Is it on the floor?
Yeah, it's on the floor.
Yeah.
It's on the floor. It's a mess. It's a mess of a collection at the moment.
I've always said there's nothing wrong with the floor.
Well, no, I mean, we all sort of have to use the floor.
Yeah.
Don't we? We walk.
Can you
on
imagine
the
a
floor.
world without a floor?
We'd just be falling.
Yeah.
Forever. Been watching anything?
Yeah, what have I been watching? Glow, actually.
Okay, so I've not watched
Like
Glow, which is the glamour ladies of
the gorgeous
wrestling?
ladies of wrestling.
Gorgeous ladies,
And
of
it was a
wrestling.
real wrestling company in the 80s. I'm a big wrestling fan. Now, so wrestling exists and is a computer game. Has there been a wrestling film? Wrestlers are in.
Well,
films.
wrestlers are in films, aren't they? So,
It's abstract.
yeah. I mean, there could be some leeway there. I mean, I don't know if there was ever a Suburban Commander. There might be a Thunder in Paradise game. That seems like it would lend itself well to a game. I mean, I feel like I'm only thinking of exclusively Hulk-based properties.
Also, a documentary's a film, isn't it?
Yes,
And there are wrestling documentaries. So that are they films? I suppose they are. Yeah. I think that's all right. It's a grey area for sure.
I think it could certainly be discussed because I mean, we talked about this. The Andre the Giant documentary is on my list, and I actually tried to watch that the other day when my other half was out. I had the day off, so I thought, all right, well, today I'll do some writing and I'll do my bits and bobs, play some games, and I watched the Andre the Giant documentary, but it wouldn't load. I just kept having the
What is it on Netflix?
ending circle. It's on Now TV, Sky Atlantic.
I've not seen it.
So that is on the list.
Do you know
I would
what
like to
it was?
watch it. Big.
7'3".
7'3".
Crack, isn't it?
It is tall.
Yeah.
But yeah, Princess Bride. Yeah. And
Big Show though, 7'2".
yeah, that's a big show, isn't it? No giant though.
Although, ironically, WCW was called The Giant.
Oh.
So,
I'm guessing that's a Vince McMahon name licensing issue, maybe.
I mean, why he wasn't called that in WWE?
Yeah, like Hollywood Hogan
yeah.
and whatnot.
But I think I like Big Show better than The Giant. Giant's a bit easy, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's old school. I mean, I grew up with the WWF as they were then and still are in my heart.
Then, now, and forever.
The World Wildlife Federation of Wrestlers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they should have brought a panda in to wrestle The Rock to see who gets to keep the name.
That would be good.
That to me is a fair way to do it.
Because it would be weird if it was World Wildlife Entertainment. If they'd lost.
Well, I thought what was going to happen, because at the time when all that was going on, there was a WCW versus WWF invasion storyline. And it was like, which company's going to die? And so I thought what was going to happen was, obviously Vince owned both at that time. I thought what was going to happen would be WWF lost in the storyline and they called themselves WCW. That would have been interesting. That didn't happen. But then, probably Vince's ego, and it's not going to want their name.
No.
I've derailed that, to be honest.
No, that's all right. That's all right. So you've been watching Glow.
Yeah.
Do you recommend it?
Yeah, it's a great mixture of drama and comedy. Alison Brie is a great comedy actress. She sort of carries it really. There's a few actual real wrestlers in it as well. Yeah, it's great. I mean, I don't think you need to like wrestling to watch it. But then, my dad always says to me, you don't need to like football to watch Saturday AM. Saturday?
Saturday AM.
What's it called?
Soccer AM.
Soccer AM, that's it. You don't have to like football touch Soccer AM, but you do.
Yeah, and it's not even on anymore.
Is it not on?
I don't think so. But, I mean, you're asking the wrong person.
Yeah.
Although, if there is a football-based film that's been turned into a game, or even... I mean, there's no FIFA film, is there? I mean, I guess that's kind of the World Cup, isn't it?
Yeah.
The FIFA World Cup is the film version of the game.
There are football films, aren't there?
Yeah, some of which actually
Mike
like.
Bassett,
Mike Bassett, England manager. Never seen it.
I have seen it. I don't recall it.
Is it as good as Sex Lives of the Potato Men?
Well, I saw bits of that, and I'm not sure why it exists.
Hmm.
And what is a potato man? It'd be brilliant if there's a game based on that. Like, what would that? Would that be?
Feels like
would that be an RPG?
it feels like it would be a Spectrum-based adventure.
Maybe something that's just tenuously related. Like, it's like, hang on, this is just a first-person shooter. Like, what? You're just chucking potatoes at people, playing characters who aren't even in the film. What's the link? Oh, don't worry, there's potatoes.
Yeah, they couldn't get the license to make.
Have you watched the film? Don't know.
Yeah, Johnny Vegas is in it though.
No.
Yeah, I have been playing like Rainbow Six.
Is it a film?
It's not a film. It's Tom Clancy. There's a lot of Tom Clancy stuff.
What is that? Tom? Is he the developer or something?
No, so Tom Clancy. So he did like all. I think he's behind like Patriot Games, Clear and Present Danger, Sum of All Fears, those sort of things.
That makes games now.
Well, he doesn't make. I think his name is attached to them because they're all very much based on.
Is he like Mr. Kipling?
Is
it like they just whack his name on it?
Yeah, Mr. Kipling's Rainbow Six Siege. So
I remember seeing that in the shop. I was like, "Well, I'm not buying that." But I think subconsciously I was thinking, "Well, if it's Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six, I won't have it then. It's obviously not mine."
What?
It's almost like keep off. This is Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six. Where's my Rainbow Six?
I play online, so it's one team against one team. So one team will be the terrorists, all sort of holed up in a manor house or a like a chateau.
Yeah.
And then
do
you're like another team.
Do you have to dive straight in with the game, or can you be like, guys, we're all here. Let's have a meal together. Tomorrow we're going to war. Let's just sit.
No, if you go online, you're straight in.
Exactly. Wouldn't that be
Someone's
nicer?
been kidnapped. Go and get them.
Put a couple of hours aside, guys. Let's sit down. Let's just have a bit.
What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses?
Spend a bit of time together. Like what's going on with you guys?
Yeah.
Before we go out and start gunning people down. And also, I still not quite grasped who Tom Clancy is or how he's involved. So is it like he's?
I think he wrote a lot of books.
Yeah, and does he come in and go? Oi, guys, sit down. Right, I wrote some books, and they're like, all right, okay, yeah. I want a game making. Okay, what do you want, Mr. Clancy? Just bloody SEAL teams from around the world knocking 7 bells off each other in Hereford. And they're like, yeah, we'll get that made now. Is that how it works?
No, I think his name is like the license.
So he's not even doing that. So it's a man who wrote some books and he's now dead, and someone's gone, do you reckon if we stick that dead man's name on this game, we'll get away with it? And they're like, yeah.
Well, it must work. Because
But this is mental.
Because
you can't just be like,
are you aware of like the Splinter Cell games?
You can't be like, oh, Tolkien's Medal of Honor. Did he make it? Don't worry about it. Just whack his name on. Christopher signed it off.
But that's all right. That's like the licensing thing. So
yeah, but it's not Tolkien's medal. What did I say?
It's not J.R.R. Tolkien's Rainbow Six Siege.
No.
Or Mr. Kipling's.
Although that might be quite good. Loads of hobbits chucking grenades around, hiding under tables.
Would be fun.
Maybe you can only hide under a table if you're a hobbit.
That would be good. Or get into the little
little
air ducts.
The air ducts, yeah,
and stuff. Like Solid Snake. But anyway, that's what I'm playing at the moment.
Cool.
It's good fun. I'm not very good at it. And
hey, is it fun for all the family?
No.
Cool.
No, it's quite violent, and it's usually children that are playing it and screaming and swearing with words that they either don't understand or shouldn't use. Some of it racially charged, which is really bad. I don't I don't like that. He shouldn't be playing.
And I'd like to think Mr. Clancy.
He wouldn't want that either.
He wouldn't want that.
No.
Do you think if he came back if he was reanimated, he would be like, "Why is my name on this game?"
I think Rainbow Six games have been around for a while. Like
so was he alive when it kicked off?
He must have been. He must have written a book about like the Rainbow Six as an organisation or something, and that's it's sort of an iteration of that,
right?
Because his name, it's Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell, the Splinter Cell games.
Yeah.
So his name is on that again because you're like a sort of wet work operative that does it, and he wrote a lot of these sort of Cloak and Dagger.
So it would work with Tolkien if it was Tolkien's.
So isn't there like a game at the moment called like Mordor at War?
Yeah.
And I think it's probably just
called
Lord of the Rings.
Tolkien's Mordor at War. It's the same thing.
Yes.
So the books are Rainbow Six.
I mean, I'm guessing so.
Right.
Because Rainbow Six has been around for a long time.
Yeah.
Either that
and who are the Rainbow Six?
They're different, isn't it? People from all over the world, from all corners.
Okay.
And all backgrounds. They come together
so
with their skills.
Does it open with sometimes in life things get a little out of control and we need to bring in the Rainbow Six?
I think that's pretty much word for word.
And then red, indigo, blue, etc. And then they all come together and
like
Captain Planet.
Like the Captain Planet
and
kids.
The Planeteers. Are the Rainbow Six like the Planeteers?
A little bit.
Right.
But there is no Captain Planet.
Unless that's Tom Clancy.
Maybe it is Tom Clancy.
They put the names together and then Clancy, he's like Zordon or something.
Yeah. I haven't unlocked him yet then. Recently I'd seen the Mummy film, Tom Cruise one, and quite universally disliked. I don't know how much reviews you've read or heard about it.
It's not something I'd ever go and see, but maybe I'm missing out. I don't know.
I mean, I think a lot of the criticism for that film came down on the whole. It's setting up a universe. You know, it's quite arrogant now to sort of think that you're setting up a universe without laying the groundwork, like Marvel have like exceptionally done. I think everyone wants the universe now, but they don't want to put in the groundwork.
And it's got to stand on its own first, I think.
Yeah. So The Mummy got a lot of heat for that because it opens with a sort of dark universe logo, so it already thinks it's a cinematic universe.
I don't know, what is that? What's in that universe though?
So the film hints at universal monsters like the Mummy, Frankenstein's monster, things like that. Jekyll and Hyde.
We don't need that to be the same universe because look at Van Helsing. That's when you had your Frankenstein and your werewolf and your vampires, and everyone was like, cool, I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
like we don't need everything to be a crossover. Like I don't need Paddington to be hanging out with Leatherface from Texas. Like, you know,
I don't think children would like that either.
No, I don't know who that would be for. Would I like? Actually, that would be quite interesting. Maybe that would be good.
I mean, maybe.
I don't think they'd be hanging out. I think Paddington would be like, bloody hell, mate, what are you doing that for?
He's on the run.
Yeah, chopping his marmalade sandwiches in half.
But going back to the Mummy film, like I thought it was fine.
Yeah.
Like it's completely forgettable, but by no means like a sort of badly made film or badly put together. It's some good.
Maybe you're too forgiving.
Good. Maybe I am, and then maybe that all boils back down to the whole point of this podcast with, films that are games and games that are films. I'm actually quite forgiving, and what's the point in being cross about this stuff? Like,
as I get cross about a lot of things.
It's like you look at the whole Last Jedi thing. How cross people are about it because you
don't need to get silly with it.
Like there were bits of it that I didn't like.
It's mixed bag, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's
the Rey and Kylo stuff is great. That really works. But it was just I don't know. It didn't seem to. I think trying to crowbar in a bit too much comedy. I think like the prank calls and stuff and. Well, what do you want us to do? Do you want us to take it seriously, or do you want us to laugh? Like, make your mind up.
Yeah, but it was fine, and it's the film we got.
It's alright. I enjoyed it at the time. At the time, it's not as good as Force Awakens by any stretch, I think. But It's alright.
Yeah, it's alright. So it's quite funny that you called out that action films might be my favourite genre.
Oh, it's obvious.
Definitely a contender. I like to do comedies as well. And musicals.
Ah. I like the South Park movie.
Yes, that's good. Yeah, I think it was when I was doing like A level that I realised that it was quite easy, sort of as a teenager, to say, "Oh, I don't like musicals. I don't like West Side Story. I don't like Sound of Music and stuff like that." And then when you actually realise and start studying these things, you go like, "Oh, well, actually, most Disney films are musicals, and I like those." And South Park,
great musical.
Is a great musical.
I don't mind them. I think I'm alright with them. I think as a kid I didn't like them because I didn't really understand what they were doing, and I think I was just crack on with the story.
I think it's that whole, when you're a kid, it's like, why are you bursting into song? How does everyone know how to dance? And, I mean, certainly for me, I was like, what is this?
You pause in the story to sing, but obviously it's not that. It's revealing more of the story through a song. But you don't as a nipper, I don't think I realise that.
I think maybe you probably overlook that more if it's a cartoon.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Well, it's because the South Park movie, as a kid, I was annoyed with the fact it was a musical. And it's only when I rewatched it as an adult where I was like, oh, actually, this is brilliant. But that was just an age thing. I didn't appreciate that as I was young.
So I saw that in the cinema, and that's probably the best cinema experience I've ever had.
Really?
Was watching the South Park.
It is good.
I was a little. I had a few drinks, and like every joke landed. Everyone was having a good time. So yeah, genuinely, that to me was like my closest in this country experience to being in the cinema in America. I don't know if you've ever seen a film in the States.
No.
So when I saw X-Men, Days of Future Past in the cinema.
Good film.
In New York, and yeah, like people cheer like when characters turn up, and certain villains get a smackdown, and certainly at the end of the film, it was more of a theatre-based experience.
Oh.
And I didn't. Again, probably because I'd had one or two, I didn't mind it.
Yeah.
But South Park, I felt certainly lent itself to that sort of crowd. Like, everyone's laughing, everyone's enjoying it, everyone's tapping their feet with the songs.
I'd have loved to have seen Blair Witch in... I think there might be a Blair Witch computer game, actually. This might be alright.
I don't think there is, but we can...
I think there might be.
Briefly touch on it. Maybe
I'll Google it.
There was a website.
There was definitely a website.
There was definitely a website.
Where aren't all websites? No, I would love to have seen that at the time when the hype was there and you didn't know if it was real or not.
So I saw that in the pictures as well, and I do remember there were certainly at the end there were people.
It is a game.
There were people. Great, we can talk about it. But there were people hyperventilating in that end bit in the house.
Oh, did you?
Like
so
there were.
America?
No, this was in Cardiff, in the UK, Cardiff, where I grew up, because I am Welsh. But there were people in the cinema like hyperventilating, and at that end bit when they were running around the house. And
did people think it was real at that point?
Yeah, again, it was like I had the internet at home. I hadn't really looked into it much. I certainly knew it was a film because it was in Empire, and they had interviews with the actors and stuff. So by this,
the found footage thing wasn't a thing then, really, was it?
Yeah, but you obviously you have to admire how they sort of touted it about that it was real footage that was recovered in a house in the woods or whatever. But what sort of ruined it for me in the cinema was while this end bit was happening and they're running around the house screaming for Josh or whoever, someone ran in with an air horn in the cinema. Odeon, Cardiff Queen Street. So I went, and then sort of laughed in a like sort of Welsh laugh. That's a Welsh laugh, and sort of snapped you out of it a little bit. I remember there were people who were sick from the motion sickness because I don't think there were a lot of sort of like handheld films of that ilk. at the time.
Have you seen the new one?
I have.
I thought the ending was terrifying. I thought.
And it wasn't really. It was a bit
Got to me that did.
sort of standard and by the numbers.
Oh.
The ending.
When you kept seeing that weird stick thing as well. Bloody hell, I can't.
Yeah, is it a witch? Is it an alien? I don't know.
Well, I think they missed a trick there. You know, they had the drone in the film.
Yes.
I would have done it because they were stuck in a time loop and they were going back in time and stuff. Weren't they?
I quite like that.
I thought that was cool. So what they could have done? Drone flies up, right? Looks over, medieval village. What's going on there?
Oh, that'd be good.
Well,
not medieval.
Not medieval.
In America.
Oh yeah, good point.
Like a sort of pilgrims.
Pilgrims, yeah. Yeah, that'd work. Yeah.
Yeah. That would be good.
Puritans or something.
Puritans, that.
Maybe that's what we meant. Yeah.
That's what. Maybe the village from the village.
Yeah, crossover.
Yeah.
Shared universe, that's what it's all about.
It's all about the shared universes.
Let me quickly tell you about these Blair Witch games then. So
okay.
It's a series for the PC, psychological horror, action-adventure games for Windows-based PCs, focusing on the backstories and mythology of Blair Witch.
Windows 97, I imagine.
What year is it?
Oh no, it was 99, wasn't it?
2000, these games.
Emmy edition.
There's 3. Volume 1, Rust in Par. Volume 2, Legend of Coffin Rock. And Volume 3, The Ellie Kedward Tale. Let's see how well we did.
So
they did bad. They did not do well.
The first one, I'm guessing, is based on the guy who lives in the house that killed the children in the
I think so.
mythos. Second one is The Rock, where someone was like tied to it or something. Yeah.
A lot of people chained.
I don't know the other one.
I think that's The Witch, that Ellie Kelly, what she's called. I don't know what the gameplay is like.
Point and click?
Let's see what sort of game is it. Yeah, you'd assume point and click, wouldn't you? Action-adventure game. So, the player must guide Holiday through her investigation to see if there's any truth to Parr's claims that he was under the influence. I think he's sort of like a detective or something, isn't it?
Well, he was, wasn't he? He was under the influence.
Well, not for me to say.
It's for a jury to decide. So, Danny, we've talked about a very brief overview of Resident Evil and indeed the Blair Witch Project and its films, but I feel like we should wrap it up. What games are you looking forward to either discussing or hearing about in the future?
Well, big Sonic the Hedgehog fan, as I may have mentioned, and so yeah, the Sonic film, Sonic games would be a big one. So all I'd say Earthworm Jim, because it was a cartoon.
There was again, that sort of falls into the murky stuff in the middle, because it has a media spin-off of its original form. So I think we can talk about Earthworm Jim, and I have the first one on Mega Drive, and I have the special edition on Mega CD. So that inherently, a special edition, is something I associate with films, things like Aliens and The Abyss. Mainly James Cameron films have a special edition variants. So yeah, Earthworm Jim I think will be a very welcome addition to discuss in the future.
I think another good one would be Street Fighter, as long as it's the animated film.
Well,
which is actually good.
I would not want to overlook the live action Street Fighter at all, but that could be various episodes. I think Street Fighter has a lot of media tie-ins.
A lot of clout to it.
Yeah, because it had the comic around the same time the Sonic the Hedgehog comic that you've mentioned was out. It also has the animated film, which I remember as a teenager. It has the live-action spin-off. It has some other live-action spin-offs that are out now. You can see some of them on Netflix. I think they're produced by Manga.
You could argue it's the ultimate one to do an episode on, because I don't think there's any other examples of this, but remember I think it's a PlayStation 2 version had the film built into the game.
Yes, I think that was the 10th or 15th anniversary.
Yeah, it was Super
edition.
Street Fighter with that film crowbarred into it. I can't think of any example of that happening in any game film combo.
It's everything all in one complete package.
Yeah, which makes it easier to do this.
Yeah, so we'll definitely be looking at that. So are you seeing the Street Fighter franchise as some kind of bumper edition of this.
Maybe it could be a trilogy.
Oh,
A neat trilogy.
an unholy trilogy of films and gaming crossovers. Some work, most don't.
One works.
One works, and it is animated. Thomas the Tank Engine.
Was that a film?
Yeah, it was Thomas and the Magic Railroad with Alec Baldwin was the fat controller.
Heck. So we've got like a sentient railroad? So the tracks got eyes and stuff now?
No, I think I've not seen the film.
Right.
But Thomas the Tank Engine is on a magic railroad.
Got you.
And there's no slowing down, there's no stopping.
What's that speed then? With Thomas?
It could be like Runaway Train.
Right.
If you remember that film with John Voight.
I don't, but I can imagine what's happening from the
It's
side.
a bit like Speed. The chap who wrote Speed, Graham Yost, he watched Runaway Train.
Oh, right.
And he always thought in that film there was a bomb on the train. There isn't, because it's about two convicts escaping. So he wrote Speed.
Where's he got that idea from then? Why did he think there was a bomb?
I think he saw it as a kid and like added his own. Like, you know, when you're a kid and your imagination runs.
Start adding your own elements.
Yeah. So that's why he wrote Speed.
As long as he enjoyed himself.
But there is no Speed video game, certainly that I'm aware of.
For good reason.
So we won't talk about that. The Haunted Mansion. Ah.
What?
Bet you didn't know that was a film or a video game.
What is the Haunted Mansion?
So it's a ride in Disneyland.
Oh, right. Oh, I'm thinking of like, what am I thinking of? Haunting of Hill House as well. The Haunting. No, I'm thinking of The Haunting.
The Haunting, which is The Haunting of Hill House.
Oh, it's getting confusing.
The one with Liam Neeson now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is The Haunting.
Right.
The Haunting of Hill House. That's the same, based on the same book by Shirley Jackson.
Heck. The Haunting of Liam Neeson's house.
However, Haunted Mansion starring Eddie Murphy is based on none of that. It's based on a Disney theme park ride. Thanks very much for listening, and we'll see you again. Well, we won't see you again, but we'll be back. Or maybe we will. Doesn't it? So thanks very much for listening. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll be back soon with another episode.